You may have heard of a video game called Black Myth Wukong, which was released on August 20, 2024. In just 4 days, the global sales of this game, which was priced at 59.9 US dollar, exceeded 10 million copies. The game has good graphics and unique music, but you may be a little bit confused about the background of this game. So in this video, we will take a deeper look at the story of Wukong. The background story of the game comes from Journey to the West. It's one of the 4 great masterpieces of ancient Chinese literature, and the other 3 are Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Water Margin, and Dream of Red Mansions. The author of Journey to the West was Wukong, who lived in the Ming Dynasty, but the stories in the book took place in the Tang Dynasty. Legend has it that there was a mountain called Huaguo Mountain. On the top of the mountain, there was a stone that observed the spiritual energy between heaven and earth, and on one day, the stone burst open and a monkey jumped out. And yes, this monkey was Sun Wukong. He led all the other monkeys to live in a cave called Water Curtain Cave, and the monkeys respectfully called him the Monkey King. Afterwards, Wukong became a disciple of Master Puti and learned many magic skills, such as transfiguration. He could transform into 72 different forms, such as a tree, a mosquito, or even a temple. He often used this skill to disguise himself and sneak into the side of the goblins, or the somersault cloud. Sun Wukong could fly a long distance with just a somersault, which allows him to move quickly. At this time, Wukong was still short of a weapon, so he went to the bottom of the sea and found the Dragon King of the East Sea. The Dragon King of the East Sea had an iron rod that maintained the stability of the seabed. It weighed 13,500 kilograms and had the words 如意金箍棒 written on it. Wukong wanted to borrow the iron rod as a weapon. The Dragon King was reluctant, but he couldn't refuse directly, so he said, "If you can lift it, I will lend it to you," because he thought the iron rod was too heavy for Wukong to lift. However, the iron rod seemed to be listened to Wukong's words, and Wukong could control it to become larger or smaller at will. At Wukong's command, the iron rod turned into a small needle and was easily taken away. Wukong usually hid it in his hair and took it out when fighting, making it larger and used as a weapon. After returning to Huaguo Mountain, Wukong discovered that his monkey people would be killed by the ghost messengers of the underworld. Let me add some information here that in Chinese culture, the underworld is responsible for controlling death. The head of the underworld, Yan Wang, has a book of life and death which records the names of the dead. The ghost messengers of the underworld, Bullhead or Horseface, will take the dead back to the underworld. Wukong was very angry, so he came to the underworld and modified Yan Wang's book of life and death, deleting his name and the names of all the other monkeys. This gave them the privilege of eternal life, but this made the Yan Wang very dissatisfied, because it challenged the order of life and death that he was in charge of. So, Yan Wang reported this to the Jade Emperor, the greatest leader of heaven in Chinese mythology. In order to stop Wukong from disrupting the order of the world, the Jade Emperor decided to give him an official position, 弼马温, which is actually a position to feed horses for the gods in heaven. Wukong felt fresh at first and was very happy to take up the position. However, not long after, he realized that this position was too low and returned to Huaguo Mountain in anger. Then, the Jade Emperor sent Wukong to manage the peach garden in heaven. However, at the birthday banquet of the Jade Emperor's mother, Wukong stole the peaches and overturned the tables, spilling the food, making the banquet impossible to continue. On the way to escape from the banquet, Wukong accidentally broke into Taishan Laojun's alchemy room and ate the elixir prepared for other gods, which greatly enhanced his magic power. The Jade Emperor was furious when he heard about it and sent his celestial soldiers to capture Wukong. Wukong was eventually captured and put into the alchemy furnace of Taishan Laojun to practice. However, Wukong was not only unharmed in the alchemy furnace, but also trained himself to have a golden eye in the high temperature, which allowed him to see things that ordinary people couldn't see. So when Taishan Laojun opened the alchemy furnace to check the situation, Wukong suddenly jumped out and fled back to Huaguo Mountain. After returning to Huaguo Mountain and resting, Wukong returned to the heaven for revenge again, and this time Wukong fought with the gods in heaven, but no one could defeat him. The Jade Emperor had no choice but to ask Tathagata Buddha for help. After meeting the Buddha, Wukong boasted proudly about his martial arts skills. The Buddha made a bet with Wukong. If Wukong could jump out of his palm, he would like Wukong to be the new ruler of the heaven. Wukong happily accepted. He rode his somersault cloud and jumped as far as he could, but only reached the finger of the Buddha. So the Buddha turned his palm into a mountain and pressed Wukong down. So Wukong was trapped at the foot of this mountain. 500 years later, a monk named Xuanzang set out from Chang'an, the capital of the Tang Dynasty, and decided to go to Tianzhu, also known as India, to obtain the Buddhist scriptures. And when passing by Wuji Mountain, he heard Wukong's cry for help and rescued Wukong. Wukong decided to worship Xuanzang as his master and escort him to Tianzhu. On the way, Xuanzang accepted two more disciples, Wu Neng and Wu Jing. They were originally Marshal Tianpeng and General Juanlian under the Jade Emperor, but were demoted to the mortal world for making mistakes. So Xuanzang took his three disciples and continued on the road to Tianzhu. Along the way, the four of them encountered all kinds of difficulties and obstacles. There are Lady Whitebone, who can also transform. There is Red Boy, who can spit fire. There are powerful King the Golden Horn and King the Silver Horn. Eventually, the three disciples escorted Xuanzang to Tianzhu safely and obtained the Buddha scriptures. Although Journey to the West is a novel, the story of Xuanzang's journey to the West is true. Xuanzang set out from Xi'an in the third year of Zhenguan, passed through Xinjiang and Central Asia, and finally arrived at Rashgar Magda in central India. He entered Nalanda Monastery, the center of India Buddhism at the time, and studied Buddhist scriptures for 5 years before returning to Chang'an in the 19th year of Zhenguan. According to historical records, Xuanzang traveled westwards in search of Buddha's teachings for 17 years and 50,000 miles, visiting 138 countries and bringing back 657 Buddhist scriptures. After returning home, the Tang Emperor built the Daci Temple in Chang'an, which is Xi'an in nowadays, to preserve the Buddhist scriptures Xuanzang brought back. As for Wukong, although he's a fictional character, he has become a hero to everyone who has heard about his story. He was initially unruly and arrogant, but he was brave and resourceful on the way to escort Xuanzang, and after obtaining the Buddhist scriptures, he was able to calm down and study Buddhism. Now we come to the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Welcome to press the like button, leave your comment below or subscribe this channel. I will update more interesting videos in the future.